Welcome to Receive Joy's mini clinic number 5, Removing Boulders.
Wait a minute. So last week was right down.
Yep. So we're going to just mention the homework for last week so that you can all catch up. I am grateful that I am or I have, and you can make it according. And the homework is to list 100 things that you're calling in for 2020. And we're starting every sentence with, I am so grateful that I now have, or that I am this. So if I am the perfect weight, and then you put the number. I am so grateful that I am with great health in my gut. I am so grateful that I am looking younger every day. However, that I walk beautifully.
I can walk.
Yes.
Really grateful.
Yeah.
Me too.
Since I didn't walk for 2 years.
Me too.
That was a beautiful miracle.
Yeah, and now my hip too. 3 days I
So
didn't have
Carrie might have yet to hear that story. She has a little miracle story. If you'd like to hear it.
Okay.
So Diane, I'll just start and preference it. So Diane was in the miracle group meeting, and she was kind of getting off her chair and like hobbling a little bit. I said, Diane, let's have a miracle here.
Me go out
Yeah,
terrible.
I was walking with her in the parking lot, and I said, let's take care of that.
So awful. 2 years I had that.
And now she's dancing.
Yeah, but I've been studying Starno for 2 years too.
Right, though her foot is working.
And I have to keep doing it and doing it. Yeah,
No, go ahead and show everybody you're walking.
Okay, I'm happy to.
And I'm happy to see
And
this
I
because
don't
this is
have
really...
any pain in my hip much, hardly at all.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to demonstrate.
She's doing a demonstration here.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? For 2 years, even in our miracle group. Yeah, that's how she was coming to the miracle group.
And every step.
Can you imagine? We got together one time, ladies, one time.
And this is
That's
so great for this today's topic because it's removing boulders.
Yes.
So I was telling her for 2 years already, come and see Rece once. And she's like, yeah, I will make
And we've
an
known each
appointment.
other for a long time.
I make an appointment. Yeah, I will make one. Yeah, I will come for 2 years.
We're just sharing our miracle. Yes.
So can we accept it's already there? I grab it, whatever
Yes.
it is.
But
So it was really
First lesson of
beautiful.
the day.
So we're ready for your miracle this week too. Okay. Hi and welcome.
Yeah, everyone can say their names.
Yeah, yes.
This is Jean, who I play tennis with.
Hi, wonderful and welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Jean. Welcome.
Carrie, Sylvie, Diane, Carissa,
Debbie.
Sue and Susan.
Yeah. All right. So we're recording this meeting just for the people who it can benefit that are yet to be part of us. All right. And we're on number 5, mini clinic number 5. Here's paper for you. And we recapped last week's homework was to write down, I am so grateful that I have, or I am so grateful that I am, and then make your list of 100 things for 2020 that we're calling in. Okay, and that's what preluded us to talk about one of the miracles that we experienced right here. She was having 2 years of a little bit of a limp, and we got together one time, and she's walking great.
What happened?
Well, we're recording now. You can talk after the lesson, but yes. So proof is that you can make the miracle happen at any moment. Okay.
you sure can.
Yep.
My first.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of our paper. Our handout is our beliefs are layered like the skin of an onion. All right, so again, let's preference the difference between belief and faith. Okay? Belief is when your grandmother, I use this all the time, bakes great cookies. She leaves you the recipe, and you know if you follow that recipe, you can make great cookies. That's a belief. Faith is where you count on God to do it all with you and for you. Okay? 0 recipe, 0 proof. So faith is believing without seeing, or believing just because. You know the power is there for you. All right. So we're operating under faith in this group, in our meetings, especially in this advanced class that we're at today. So it's all about our faith. Now let's talk about the skin of an onion and as you pull it back. And it's interesting with beliefs because the skin of an onion is usually pretty pretty nice. It's kind of smooth and it's sometimes shiny and it looks good. Well, beliefs are a little more bumpy, more like a pumpkin, more like a gourd, and it could be some.
Devil's belief too.
Yes, and so they got kind of bumps, and we're going to peel back some of those really bumpy layers because beliefs are things that were our ancestors handed to us. They're things that we saw somewhere, and then we decided to internalize it or decided to take it on. So beliefs usually are somebody else's, number one, that we've decided to adopt and try to fit in our package. Sometimes they're wrapped up really pretty, and those beliefs have been wrapped with gold ribbons and handed to us from generation down to generation, and we tend to say, oh, we probably should keep this because it's the family tradition. It's the family's belief. There must be something valuable in it. And really, I love the story of, there was a tribe of ladies and they always carried the fish in the baskets on their head. And one day they had gone quite far to go pick up the fish out of the river. And so they overnighted in a beautiful field of flowers. And they put these baskets of fish right next to their heads when they went to sleep. And they were in this beautiful garden of what nice smelling flowers, though they had their stinky fish with them because that's what they knew, to always have those baskets of fish close to them. So are we keeping our stinky old stuff really close to us that we have to smell it all the time or play in it all the time? So our beliefs are layered like the skin of an onion. Sometimes they are bumpy and lumpy, and we shall peel them off one layer at a time to find the new smooth skin underneath. So our goal by the end of this lesson this evening in 1 hour is to understand how we can exactly pull that skin back gently and allow that beautiful, smooth faith to show through, that steadfast faith. So dear God, this is one of my little affirmations, and again, please change things to whatever works for you. But dear God, release all the negativity from all my existence, lighten and enlighten me now and forevermore. Come up with some great little affirmations. I just always in every class give you a few suggestions. And then here is the order that we do this removing of boulders. So step one is to identify your boulders. All right, so on the back of the page today, I want everybody to just flip it over and write down 2 boulders that were handed down and you decided to believe. And one of them in our family is that we should do things to please others. Okay, that's a big boulder in my family. Some people have boulders around finances. Some people have been handed sayings over and over. So one thing I had to set down is this opinion of others mattering in my life. Even others that were neighbors that you don't know.
What will they think?
Yeah, what will they think is another, yes, there's a phrase. So that's one for me I can share. Anybody else have any boulders that they can share? Sylvie, what are your boulders?
Time is scarce.
Yeah,
What?
time is scarce.
Oh,
Time is
I don't have
scarce.
enough time.
Yeah. Yeah, so she would like to always have plenty of time. And then removing a boulder, that time exists, number one, and that it's scarce is number 2. All right, some of us had parents that said things to us like, we can't afford it. Has anybody ever heard that?
money doesn't grow on trees.
Okay.
We all heard that one back in the day.
The idea, though, is when these loving people, quote unquote, around us said things over and over and over, it should all go to charity. Whatever it is that we heard over and over and over, right? Has that had any effect on us? And that's where, when we're talking about removing boulders, many humans, including ourselves, have built lives around literally, if this was my living room, there'd be big boulders sitting behind me. And then you eat your dinner and you do your whole day around these boulders that are still sitting there. Sometimes you're not good enough. Some people's parents or coaches or said you're never a first string player, you're always going to be a second string player. It's very interesting. We've heard this. I was a gymnast, and again, in some clubs you're the number 1, and then in other clubs the competition is different, and now you're just an average person. So what have we been preached to? What have we been told? In the Christian religion, we are not worthy.
We're a worm in the dust.
What?
A worm in the dust. Something like that. Isn't that with
Yep.
Those who can do, those who can't teach. That's what my mother said to me.
And you were a teacher.
And I was a teacher. She said that after I was a teacher.
Oh, that's pretty.
That wasn't just
Any others? What do you have?
I was told that it was because I was the oldest, I was responsible for all of my siblings. Like if they made a mess, I got in trouble for it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and I took it on, but not anymore. So
All right. Any that you can remember?
thinking about work, the teaching of a work ethic. Because it's not bad. These things are not necessarily bad advice. I guess your point is you just can't keep them
Right.
within
So
perspective.
along that line, work hard for a living.
Yeah, I
yes.
And then when you look metaphysically, is that true?
No,
Has zero truth behind
don't have to do anything.
it. You should inspire and you should enjoy, and you could put as many hours into the enjoyment, but this whole illusion of working hard is going to get you somewhere. What is that?
I think some people see it as self-fulfillment, really. It's personal.
Yeah. So work fulfilled, be fulfilled. Yeah. All right. So we each have a couple that we are checking, and everybody should write down on their paper, I am worthy of God's love. Or I'm worthy. So when we're checking ourselves, we always want to check through whatever we can check through. And every night when you have your 5-minute couch time, go back through your day and notice if there was one hiccup in your day that got your joy down a notch. If somebody said something to you, or somebody did something in front of you, or you perceived something. And then just say, gosh, what is that? Why did I feel like that? After that person left, I felt really strange. And then go back and say, I never met this person, so let's remove the person from it. What is the core belief that it triggered? And so Sylvie had something that she experienced the other day. She met somebody for the first time on a phone conversation, and when we were done with the conversation, they gave her a task.
A test?
A task. T-A-S-K.
Task.
She had never met them before, and it was very interesting because we were just on a joyful conversation. And how did that make you feel? And then you have to say, what did that trigger?
Yeah, it made me feel less than ideal about this person, and also triggered like some hierarchy, things like in the military, for example, or on ships. I used to work on ships.
Right.
So yes, you always have a superior, and the captain is like the highest ranking, and this person we had the phone call with called himself the general. So and like
And yet
we
he's a
had
highly spiritual being.
yeah, we had like a peer-to-peer conversation, and at the end he asked me, can you summarize or like,
Recap.
yeah, can you recap our meeting or make notes or take a memo or something, like what you do in a business world after a meeting, if you have a board meeting, for example, not if you get to know someone, but when you have a board meeting and you have your task list and then you agree on things and then you recap
This
it.
was just the first meeting of a person just having a
Yeah,
conversation.
and I took notes. Of course, I always take notes, and it's nice to recap something. I mean, you can. It's a choice of wording, and it's always we are so much into our wording here. So if you say it to someone, can we just repeat what we agreed on?
Or would you
So,
like to? Or would
yeah.
it be beneficial for you? Or
Instead
He was
of
ordering you around.
ordering me to do something that was like a secretary task or like
Was he from
someone.
another country?
yeah,
Sometimes they have their culture.
Yeah, it's culture.
Sure.
but
When I
it's
was in sales, this Japanese guy gets come to me and he said, "Okay, show me your scheme." I was like, "Your scheme? This isn't a scheme." But that was the way they used the word.
yeah. So it's so interesting,
So
like
they've
really to
been like
use
that.
on words and
So what it really is, though, is the feelings.
Yeah, it's the
It isn't the
feeling.
person
Yeah.
who triggered it.
Yeah, right.
It isn't the situation that triggered it.
Yeah.
When you sit on your couch time, you say,
Yeah.
do I really feel good about humanity? And then what can I do to improve my feelings? What can I do to enhance the oneness? And that's what one of the things
so
that we're looking for.
I rephrase it for me. Yes, it was like his way of saying, like to me, yes, let's recap it. And like, I mean, we had a 2-hour conversation. What did we actually agree on? And it's nice to then have an agreement and second each other's motions and energies. So it was great that he actually brought that up. I mean, am I happy with the way he did it? Do I have to be happy? No, I don't even have to think about that.
Right. The idea just is when something feels less than beautifully joyful, you go back in and say, what got me a little bit there?
And it was funny. I didn't even mention it. And Carissa looked at me. That was like kind of off.
Yeah.
So she mentioned it. For me, it was like,
Hey,
okay.
darling, come pull up a chair. Let's get you a chair. Yep, this is Shirley. Everyone here, we're going to get you a high stool. You got one there? Yeah.
And in that situation, not everybody would get triggered by that.
Yeah, no.
Right.
And I didn't like really. It was just,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like interested. It was really
Okay,
interesting
so
that you
we've
see
already
that
started.
something is
I'm
happening.
recording.
Yes.
We're recording, so I'm
So
in the lesson.
this is a pre-lesson. The whole meeting starts at 7:15. The other one.
Yeah, so you can just listen in for a little bit? Perfect. All right, so the first point is identify your boulders. They should be something that all week long we're identifying the things that get our gut going a little bit. Those are the boulders. When somebody presents something to you, when somebody looks at you a way that you go, gosh, that brought my joy down a notch. And anything that brings our joy down a notch is something that has a boulder in your room.
Oh, I know what mine is.
Go ahead, share
When
yours.
my son-in-law starts drinking at 10 o'clock at night by himself,
It makes you feel less than joyful.
because my dad did that all day long.
Uh-huh.
And it brings back all the bad stuff.
So every
Right.
little trigger, so whatever triggers
Yeah,
you
my
in
gut
some
just goes
ever,
like this.
so whatever way.
Right, so
this is-
make a list. It starts by
I'll put that
identifying,
on
we
my
call them our boulders. There's something still in the room, right? Because if the room was clear, we'd all feel great all the time and people could do whatever they want to do. So identify those boulders. That's step one. Decide now is the moment to let them go. All right? Just because you now are going to address them, you are now identifying them, you can have this moment to just let them go. And that is so wonderful when you have this moment to just absolutely let them go. All right. So
And life goes on.
and life still goes on, right? Like you had them and then you let them go and you're like, oh, everything's
What
still
do we
going.
say? What do we say?
The idea is we don't
no
say
one else
anything. You
notices.
sit by yourself and you say, why do I allow these triggers to trigger me?
Why did I do all of these things? It's not noticed.
Other
anyways,
people
right?
just are fine. Good night. See you later, right?
Yeah.
And then ask yourself and ask God, what do you have to remove out of your life to have peace over that situation? So you're always in the room, the hall of mirrors with God, and you're asking for the guidance to help release the situation. And the step 3 here is really interesting because some of us think we should eat an elephant one bite at a time. The idea, though, is when we throw these boulders out one at a time, we throw them out whole. We're not cracking them in little pieces. We're taking the whole thing and being done with it. So when you pray to God, He doesn't have to just remove piece by piece. He can remove the entire thing and throw it away.
She doesn't have a
Yeah, I only have one. They just have mine and I got to read it. Okay, so we're identifying boulders. We're deciding now is the moment to let them go. We're throwing them out one at a time, the whole thing. So step 4, lift beyond. So in your case, Sue, you've got to lift beyond your father. He's gone. You pray over him, pray the whole thing. You pray over your next situation, and you got to lift yourself beyond. You have to say, I trust. Yes, lift yourself beyond it all. Say a prayer. I now release my father, release my son-in-law. I release all emotion towards this. I only have love. So re-imprint as you speak over something. Speak a new blessing over it. Okay? So you identified it's still there because your gut went tight. Now it's time to speak a new blessing over
I
it.
now release so-and-so.
Yes.
And what?
And replace it with great joy that everybody can make and live a great life. And some people like to eat, and some people like to drink, and some people like to do both, and some people like to swear, and some people like to do all these great things. And isn't it wonderful that we all can do all of it? Or some of it?
Swear?
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay because God says the only person coming to judge.
Yeah, I
Is
agree
him.
with not judging.
So guess what? We're here to live our existence
Yeah.
allowing the oneness. Allowing the oneness. That's the beauty.
Studying that too.
Yeah. All right. So lift yourself beyond all the old situations or the old boulders, right? We're tossing everything out, and you can then replace it with a better meaning. And our real theme here is oneness of humanity. So what does oneness means? It means that if you are ever feeling any conflict in your gut, you've divided a versus, them versus me. This is the right way, that is less than the right way. If it's all oneness, it's all okay. And if God has gotten each of us this far, he's going to get all the people around us there too. So that trust in the faith we have, the steadfast faith in God's ability, and that we're one humanity, and we're going to set down our verses, our individuality, this versus that. The tree of knowledge of good versus evil. So when we're in advanced training, we understand there is only the vibration of perfection. And it's for us to see that. And each of us to set anything down that's tripping us up. Anything that we've stored behind us in our rooms, in our lives. It's time to check it out and replace it with something that's more empowering. So lift yourself beyond. Live in the light of the truth beyond the illusion. Your son-in-law is really okay, right?
Yes.
It's only the illusion that you think that he's not.
Because I was judgmental.
And that's gossip, right? The minute you have something to say about somebody else, it's gossip.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells us about gossip. Stay far from it.
Just remember, you take yourself out of grace. The moment you judge, it's taking yourself out of grace.
What about
And with
a
grace
really
comes
bad man?
everything.
You
There
know,
is zero like
like
that.
Soleimani or Hitler.
God has a plan for everybody.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
And so
it's taken me a while.
it's really, really, really for us to stay in our plan with God, pray over everything, and then release it back to God and leave it there. Remember, leave it on the altar. If you have placed something on the altar to God, one thought takes it back off the altar. Blinders on like a horse,
So I
forward
think by
march.
now, I mean, with lesson number 5 here, you see the theme we are doing. So leave it on the altar.
That's the Course in Miracles. Leave it on the altar.
Yep, leave it on the altar.
There's only one truth. And it's time to like really understand it and do it.
So
and implement it in your
the
life.
truth beyond the illusion is, and you can always bring it back to yourself, if I got this far in life and am this good, everybody else has the same chance. And they'll get there too,
Eventually.
right? Our own children will get there.
Next lifetime.
It's all fine. The idea
They can
is
use
trust
it
that
like
God
that.
got us this far. He's going to keep going. And he's going to go the same. He has a plan with everybody, and he's going to take them along also. So claim yourself as a new being. All right? We understand that there's power in the word. That's why we have to speak over ourselves that we're a new being every day. Call it in and claim it and ask God to continually make you new every day. Make your heart new, make your soul new, make every bit of you new. The being in this chair is completely renewed every day. So call in that newness. That's one step. This claiming in declaration form with words. That's what this advanced group really is understanding. That when you claim something, you redeclare it. Shin, in her book, she said, speak the word over it. That means give a command to it. Give a command to it. So give a command to yourself as a new being. So I command myself to love more, to have more patience, to allow people their moment.
Yes.
All right? And then set down the illusion of separation. This is a big one, right? You are that person. You are your father. We came out of our parents. We're all one here. Humanity is a great thing. This versus good versus evil, knowledge versus less than, the tree of life versus the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The minute we always are versus everything, then there's this competition thing, and we know that there's zero competition. There's only peace and perfection. If we pick up this versus, this competition, then we've set God down. We've set grace down completely. So hold on very tight to your oneness and set down the illusion of separation. When we reclaim our oneness, that's when everything for the first time again is possible. Live in steadfast faith. Different than the beliefs, because those beliefs are still boulders in our closet, boulders behind us. The Bible says your faith has set you free, and it says, so as you believe shall it be, even if your belief is an illusion.
That's a good one.
Okay? So that shows the metaphysical, the invisible world that God created, that he says it's always going to be according to your belief. That's why this class right now, to dump our boulders, the whole thing at once, replacing it with something great, going back into our oneness, reclaiming and declaring over everything our prayers. The choice is always ours to rise to the higher vibration. This is really another amazing point. And each of us can maybe share a little bit of what we're doing in our lives now to rise to the higher vibration. So Sue, you start. What are you doing?
All right, number 2. Let's see.
What are you doing to rise to a higher vibration?
The new idea of how to take care of myself and my ship.
Okay,
A new idea of how to let others run their own ship.
very good.
And that means their own life, I guess, right?
Let them have their own hands on their own steering wheels.
Yeah.
Yes.
And our opinions stay on our ship with us. Okay, what else? What are you doing this year?
My big thing too is being quiet. When I want to get in there, and sometimes I still want to defend, but and
And
I just,
voice your opinion.
right, and I just sit there and smile, and I'll say, you may be right. I say that to my husband all the time.
Interesting theory.
Yes,
Yes, we can do that.
and I don't get into it,
Right.
and I don't lose all the afternoon sitting in my stuff, and then I just go on.
Yep.
Wow.
Huge.
Yep. Maybe you're right. Exactly.
Maybe you're right.
Yep. That's great. Give somebody that. Okay. So how about you, Sylvie?
By taking complete responsibility for my life in all areas. So really owning it, and that includes, I started with my own apartment, my own car, my own money, financing. So we did an investment club, and we're doing really making it that I'm implementing church really every Sunday. So every little area in my life, I'm taking full responsibility. I know it's me. So it's also surrendering, listen to God's voice, listening to my gut feeling even more. And then stay happy, smile and just stay in my happiness. Because my happiness comes from within me. It has zero to do with anyone else. And just keeping myself there all the time, because if I do something for myself, like having my own living space, or having exactly the furniture I like, or exactly the papers where I like to have them, makes me happy. So what else makes me happy in a day? The food I like to eat, I'm getting my own salads. So exactly what I find ideal in a day, all day long, I'm doing. And yes, there are comments from other people like, oh, that is selfish of you. And I'm like, yes, thank you. It's finally time. It's finally time that I hear my own thoughts, that I act on my own thoughts, and that I'm like stopping all this defensiveness. And we talked about this mastering defensiveness in one of our last mini clinics. And it was like, for me, it's completely a compliment if someone tells me, oh, that sounds selfish. I mean, when is a time when we think like this? So it's God, myself, and then all the rest. That is the priority that is in the Bible. So am I obeying God? Now I do. Before that, I didn't. I broke like every single rule, like when I did everything else for others. And yes, I'm still a cheerful giver. I'm still giving my love. I'm still giving my time. I'm still doing all of this. But now I do it in my own happiness. And while I'm happy, I can give even more.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Anybody else want to share what their
I love
2020?
When someone says selfish, you always say, oh, I'm selfish, you know. But she says, thank you. That's so gorgeous.
It's like the
I
other
don't
day.
remember that.
Yeah, you have to come up with really some comebacks that help you, and I also have the other person to think. So we had this great example when like some of our Milk Group members, she lost her job, and she called me because she was in a panic situation. She called me and she wanted to have comfort. I am a person that lays in a ditch with someone, so what did I do? I was, congratulations, I'm so happy for you. Because
Now
I
it's time
wasn't-
to move on with your life.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So now she has a way better job because she was made to change directions. She was made to think about her life. She was made to take time off. So it all benefited her. So I know that it's God always wants good for us, so that this situation happening is good for us in the long run. Even if the situation we see in front of us right now is less than what we see, you know. The best is yet to come. There's a song out there. The best is yet to come. And we saw the performer on Sunday in live. So I just think of all these Bible verses and all these Christian songs all the time. And then this is what you give forth. So yeah, the best is yet to come. So you're not laying in a ditch with someone. So you know the story about the Samaritan that brought the person to the inn and came back later and paid for it. It's like zero laying there with him and like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. What can I give you a hot beverage? And like, well, let's tell me all about that. Come on. Is that comforting? If you really think about it, it's like zero proactive. So can we actually go forth with the solution? Okay, what is your ideal job? What is better? So what can we do better, like with the next thing? So come up with, in every situation, with the things you would like.
The ideal.
Yeah, the ideal, and what would you like to hear? So if you feel like, yes, you want to be comforted and be hugged, that is your inner child that wants like this I. But if you're really honest to yourself, your true ideal self wishes to have like perfection in a way what you think perfection is. So how can you reach there the past? How can you breach the gap? And yes, you can wallow for 5 minutes and feel sorry about yourself for 5 minutes, but it's so important to keep yourself like, you know, get up, put your crown back on, as we say, and keep on walking.
Yeah, it was really cute once, and a few of you have heard this story, but we were in church when Sylvie first came back, and they were singing a song, and everybody was in there, oh, and a lot of times in Christianity, we go south to go north kind of thing, and the mood comes down a little bit, and the preacher was saying, it was just a small group, and he was talking about debt, and he said, what were the exact words? You don't have any, aren't we so happy that you don't have any more debt? You know?
Who wants to get rid of their debt? And everyone was raising their hand, and I was like, I'm fine.
So Sylvie, they're like, Sylvie, don't you want to get rid of your debt? And Sylvie says, I don't have any debt. and it's so amazing because she had the exact right attitude. If we really, as Christians, think about it, Jesus died. It's all paid in full.
That's awesome.
So why are we still going, oh, mercy me, that we all have a debt? There's zero debt. Otherwise, his work was less than complete. So it's crazy what we're doing.
And I tell you this with the words, so that just came up for me because I'm a literal thinker like Rece is. So we think about things because it comes like one by one word, and we are really thinking about the meaning behind. And I think it's only 5% of the population who does that. It just sometimes, I
5.
think it's only 5%.
So she's thinking about exact dollars, like if you owe a credit card.
So
But we were in church, and they were trying to get her to believe it that that
it's just,
it was
like
debt
when
of
you have
Christ.
like the example, like man eating cockroach. So I think about like a Chinese eating like a cockroach, and it's fine. And most of the people thinking it's a giant cockroach eating a man. I'm just saying, so this is like, if you think literally, you take everything granted, and that's in the first book, the story. That's why my parents always said, don't put everything on the scale. Like, don't put every word on a scale. And I'm like, yeah, but it serves me so well because I'm thinking about all these things. So even like learning another language, when I came, I'm like, why are you saying this? It makes zero sense. Most of the things make zero sense, and it's like the universe thinks like me. I know that because it like comes exactly as we call it out. So it is an advantage to try thinking about like really what you say. So that's one of the first steps, and we are here in an advanced group. But I'm just saying as a reminder, you as like you learned the language from like since you were a child, you got all the sayings probably from your mom. Even when I like raised kids in between, I heard my own mom in my head, and when I was younger, I thought I'm never going to be like my mom. And then you repeat the same sentences because it's the only product you have. And it happens to everyone. So with all the things.
That's why we're looking at these boulders.
That's
we
why
use
we
their
have to be
exact words, their phrases.
So, and that we talked about the onion. It's like one layer after another layer. So once you mastered the things that are like on the surface, there's another thing coming up. Then there's another thing. Then there's another. Oh, I got this package with a golden bow. Like how am I now getting that?
Right. So
off?
sassy sayings. Watch the sassy sayings that we tend, the comebacks we like to just bring. In Sue here, one time, that was the last time she slipped with her mouth, but she was over and she goes, "I'll be damned," right? She came over to my house and said that. And I said, "Sue." Okay,
Or
so
like,
the idea
someone
though
came
is
to me. I came in a room and I heard the saying, "Oh, speaking of the devil," and I'm like, really? What do you think of me?
yeah.
Like I say, speaking of the angel, or like something like angel.
Yes.
Something nice.
I'll be blessed, exactly. So just be aware that these are funny phrases that our own friends have said all the time. One of our friends says a lot of times, "I'm so poor I can't pay attention. I can't afford to pay attention."
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm just be aware of what we're listening to. And a lot of the people that are close to you have said it 5, 10, 20 times. So it isn't that we got one imprinting. A lot of us have gotten 20 imprintings.
I like the part where someone starts to tell you all their problems and about their health, and then you said, "Can you tell me something wonderful that happened to you today?" I did that to someone. They're like, and they get shocked.
Yeah, because
really-
they are so used to this downward.
That is a good thing. So come up with like sayings, even like if you don't want to engage in these conversations, just change the subject. And if you engage someone with a question, 30 seconds later they don't even know that they asked a question. I do that all the time. And I watched like at a friend's house the other day, there was a TV show, and there was a man that always does it, and he was like a leader of some sort. And I just watched it like really, like for this brief moment. It was so interesting. Like the police called him and they wanted to have like certain information. And he's like, "Oh, you always look so athletic." And then they ask him another question. "Are you going to the gym permanently?" So they were having a complete other conversation. Oh, then they asked him another question. And then, so it kept on going like, see you Monday at the dance lesson. See you Monday at the dance lesson, or see you tomorrow in dance class. So instead of like really going into this just keep on where you are, and either they catch on or it's okay to be in your own world. And we are like frequently called that we are
Right.
that we are unicorns.
Right.
And it's like I also say, "Oh yes, thank you." I like to be a unicorn.
Okay, so Live in the steadfast faith. The choice is always ours to rise to the higher vibration. So what does rising to the higher vibration really mean when we're talking on our level of physics here? Well, we know that love has a higher vibration than guilt. We know that happiness is a higher vibration than sadness. We know that joy and exuberance has a higher vibration than neutrality. It's really amazing for us to say, okay, can we make a conscious desire in our heart to raise our entire vibrational field? And that can be done just with your own physiology. Wiggle around a little bit, put your shoulders back, put your chin up, put a smile on your face. Right there, or if you change your physiology, you can change your vibrational field. So just wiggle a little bit in your chair, and move your butt, wake some cells up. Because our cells have been imprinted. All right, this is important information. Our cells have been imprinted from childhood till now. That's why all these funny sayings and boulders that have been in our rooms and in our parents' rooms, and then we decided to keep them because they're like valuable old furniture. How are they vibrating? We have to look at this stuff and say, is that vibrating with something that I want to enhance my life with? Or does some of that stuff just have to go? And then what are the new joyful, awesome, exuberant vibrations that I'm going to replace them with? So the choice is always ours to rise to the higher vibration, improve our physiology, put your shoulders back. Some of us wrote in 2020 that we're going to improve our posture. Okay, so if in your 100 list for 2020 you want to put your posture down, that's something. Have a clear focus. That's why we're having the 100 lists, everybody. We're going to get really focused, and that list should span around like 8 different categories of your life, right? Your spiritual life, your physical life, your financial life, your happiness life. And then pray and declare first. All right, this is a big one. A lot of us do this drive-by prayer. We're kind of there in the parking lot, and then we decide to make a little prayer over something. Yeah. The idea is to, instead of telling everybody, oh, just come on over right now, say, do you know what? I think Tuesday at 3 would be a better time to come over. And it gives you 2 days to pray over the situation. You can wake up the next morning and pray over the situation. You can pray before the person gets there. And now you have 3 prayers for that same situation. Instead of saying, just come over, I'll meet you inside right now. 0 prayer happened. You just meet and the meeting's over. 0 blessing happened. And that's why I used to tell people when I was seeing a lot, just come over right now, come on over, I've got time. And that happens very seldom now. Now it's kind of like, okay, tomorrow would be better. And that gives me a lot of time to really work with God in the miracle. Even when we got together, it was a week later from when I walked out in the parking lot with you to you calling and you coming over. Yeah. So the idea is that is really a blessing because it gives me much more time to pray over the situation, and the person, place, or thing is thoroughly prayed over. And I love that. So have a clear focus, pray and declare first, eyes on God and the victory. I know we bring this up every single meeting. So go forth in total expectation of the victory. Expect the victory. So when we do this kind of reality, the first thing we have to understand is there is only goodness, there is only greatness, there is only peace for each of us. The only person who's added any fuel to anything less than perfect peace is ourselves when we allow any kind of the illusion of fear in. If we've allowed that illusion of fear in, even for a minute, we've been the fuel to the fear fire, because fear is an illusion. And we keep it holding, and if we mull it over or turn the situation over 3-4 times, or we repeat it to our spouses, or repeat it to friends, or we repeat it in our own mind or in our own heart, now we've just recreated it, and we made it bigger and bigger and bigger every time. Let's keep it small. When something less than great happens, please push it right out the door. Open the front door, let it out the back door, and recreate something great. So we hold vibration. Yep.
With that, I will. I'm leaving to create something great. Good to meet you all.
Yes, lots of love. Do you have a card for her? Yeah. Let's be in touch. Absolutely, Jane. So we hold vibration in every cell of our body, imprint healthier, stronger, higher, more loving vibrations. So how is that? Just like Sylvie said, have some sayings that you can give to people like, I trust it'll all be okay for you. It's turned out for me with God. I trust that it'll all turn out well for you. Have these encouraging declaration statements. They're really declaring. They're declaring a goodness over the situation. I trust that it gets better and better every day for you. That you feel better and better. I trust that your foot will come back to its greatness. Use words that you have already set up so that one of them we talked about too, when you want to get in another person's business or they're trying to drag you in. What do you think about this, right? You can say simple as, I'm very busy with my own business right now. I'm sure you'll figure that out.
How about let's ask God together?
That's fine. Let's pray together over it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you like it to turn out like? You can ask them. And then let's pray that solution. I'm happy to help you pray that solution over it.
I'm happy to help you. Yeah, pray.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to help you come up with a focus. So ask for the assistance. God is our continual supply. Okay, there's our theme too. God is our continual supply. We're still in this whole thing that we want the courts to give us the judgment. We want the jury to help us. We want insurance companies to be the provider for us. You may play in those situations after you've gone to source light energy with your declaration and your asking. Once you've already asked the universe for whatever it is that you're looking for and you're very clear, then you can make all the little phone calls you want in all the little arenas you want to play in. Though God has to have the exact asking first. So if you'd like to have this outcome for a court case, that your medical bills are paid, right? You say, God, thank you. You've taken care of everything so far. I give you gratitude for taking care of my medical bills. Speak it into to God. Then you can come over here and you can call your insurance company or you can call whatever you can believe that'll help you do it. The idea, though, is you first spoke to the creator of all that is so that he can put the play in play.
I forget to do that a lot. How can I make myself remember?
God first.
I know. But, you know,
I'm just saying, put sticky notes on your toilet.
Sticky notes, yeah.
God first. Right on your toilet.
I went to urgent care last night. It was a big mistake. And as I'm driving home after sitting there for 2 hours, I was so mad. I hated myself about congestion I had. But then I said, you didn't even ask God if you should go or not. I made up my own mind and went. That's terrible.
That's okay. That's just one experience.
Do we all do that?
Yes. So now you say, okay, my 2020 rule with myself, my little, is God first.
Yeah, but I forget.
Put sticky notes up. Put reminders.
We're so used to it, you know.
Yeah.
I should
Just
be
remember, God, myself.
After 50 years in the church, you think I remember.
So we held vibration in every cell. That's why. So now these vibrations, tell your cells. Cells, remind me to tell God first. Ask God first.
Cells.
Cells, yeah. So just go ahead.
Cells remind me to to ask God.
Yes. Ask for assistance. Begin to see humanity one at a time outside who we say they are. This is interesting. So here, let's take your father. You say he's your father. You say he had a behavior pattern, right? How about if we just look at him as humanity? And it's okay that humanity has all kinds of behavior patterns. And the fact is, there's only probably a small portion that you will agree with or I would agree with, though we allow everybody to have behavior patterns, right? So take ourselves out of it's one person doing this one behavior and just broaden it. And look at humanity. And when we call God in, we call God in for the betterment of humanity. And let God define betterment or health or whatever word you want to use that would help. So this is something that we can all do in 2020. To begin to see humanity one at a time outside who they say they are or we say they are. Okay, that's really a big one.
Yeah.
He is a this. She is a that. She is a this. They do this to me always.
So I have a really good example. I mean, I worked on the cruise ships forever, and there's a lot of different variety coming through and in front of me with all kind of voice racing and everything. So I made myself like really the task, and this is where I mastered it completely, that I love everyone. I love everyone, and everyone is here to like in front of me because they wish to have a good time, either on a cruise or in this lifetime. Everyone wishes to be happy, and how can I help them? So instead of like doing the defensiveness thing or anything else, what I did, I was asking myself first, okay, what does Jesus see in this person? You know, what I cannot, what I yet have to see. So what is Jesus like seeing in this person, what is revealed to me? So I tried to get to know this person even better. And I tell you, I had always the best excursions. I had always the happiest cruisers. And even if people come and tell me, oh, these, you know, they are difficult or whatever label you want to put on it, they were my best friends. So I went in a bus and I was like, now I'm having a bus tour with my 40 best friends. Or I went like, this person in front of me is the person I wish to spend time now. So God put this person in front of me that I can help them. So how can I help them? I have to ask them, how can I help best? And they're always, I mean, first they just have to get things off their chest. But then if they really see how I react to this kind of situation and I completely understand, so how can we make it better? I always had like a really good solution worked out. So it came to a point where my boss was always asking me to do all these management of people.
Beautiful. So ask to see truth and happily observe it. Okay, that's the truth. God structures me again. Ask God to structure you again. Remember, your cells carry the memory. If you would like to be restructured, then every morning wake up and say, God, guess what? I'm brand new canvas. How about you restructure me today again into something new? Restructure me. All right, so that we could have a new you every morning, every day. So God, restructure me again.
What she said about it's hard not to get involved with somebody who's negative that way, and it's hard to know what to bring to the table.
And the first thing is, everybody knows that you give yourself 5 minutes or whatever time you say, shorter the better. So when anything's going south, including your own thoughts, you say, okay, I'm going to be Rumpelstiltskin here for 5 minutes and stomp and beat, and then enough. And when you have somebody who's going south, remember, if you sit there more than a couple minutes, and I mean 2, now you become the second energy for the destruction. And that is a big responsibility for us to know. We walk away smiling, smile and wave, I say, hug and say, gotta go, plan going into a situation, knowing that you have an exit. Be aware that when you're into a car, when you're locked in a car with people, is not the time to bring up a big, heavy discussion. Okay? Always take a discussion where you can, in 5 minutes, exit. Okay, that's when you do a big discussion. Be completely aware of that. So I am the torch that will light my world anew. All right, each of us, it's up to us to light your world anew and declare these great things over the situation, over the people around you. I'm a torch that lights things new. It's okay that they're the same torch. We're the new torch. And we're happy that they have figured out a life, each person around us, that somehow works for them, even though it might sound like it's the opposite. And we're just here to be the torch of the new day. And that's it. So any other comments, questions? Thursday we're on for the next one?
How am I going to get this box up to my car?
Well, we will help. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great.
I have to look it
I
up,
got it
what the
written
next,
down.
She's got the form. Okay. God bless everyone.
was
Have a
great.
great evening.
Love you. Thank you so much.